to the cloud. And well, welcome everyone. It's Freedom Friday, and I have a beautiful guest today. And for those of you that don't know what Freedom Friday is, it started on a radio show years ago in the real estate community. Actually, it was the Real Estate Insider Show. And we had so much fun with it. We just kept continuing it because we wanted to interview powerful guests that were going to make an impact on building community and sharing whatever they doggone wanted to share. Now, of course, we always have a theme, and this year's theme is leadership. And we chose a powerful leader in her community, Miss Dixie Decker. And I said that correctly, right?
Dixie Decker, yep.
Awesome. And Dixie, first of all, what do you want to share with our audience? I'm so excited you're here with us, by the way.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, you and I have chatted just a little bit. And so today's really just an open book for whatever you think your community needs to hear. I've been through the gauntlet and back. I always joke that I haven't just been in the trenches. I think I was buried below the trenches and had to find my way out. And so in my new life, it looks very different than the old life. And my husband often reminds me, anytime I'm headed somewhere to speak or teach or coach or just share my story, is that my one goal is just to give one person in that room or one listener hope that there is, and I'm looking at your sign, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And how you get there, everyone has their own journey, but I think finding mentors or leaders or coaches is a pivotal point in it. And then just having some good grit, like some hard grit, like where you can just, grit your teeth and get through the hard stuff to see the fun stuff. And so I'm just kind of here to just offer whatever I can share that might inspire someone.
I felt that and see that and always experience that with you. I love that. And there's so many things you said there that will lead into our questions. Yet you said I was buried and I had to find my way out of it and create a whole new life. And that just made me want to say, oh my goodness, that is just such a story there. And yet, so you decided you go through, I'll give you some of the basics. Curious, when did you first discover you were a leader? When did you realize, oh my gosh, I'm leading people?
Yeah, so I like that question for several reasons. I would say when I first glanced at that question, I was like, I remember being a kid and thinking I was always kind of a leader. I never really totally fit into a group. There were several groups I loved to be a part of and several groups I associated with. And sometimes that can be seen as you're not popular enough to be initiated into one group because you're just kind of, and I didn't exchange friends. I could kind of fit in with multiple people and I loved all types of people. And so I remember thinking that. And then when I mentioned my story, I think in my 20s, I just lost myself. I don't know who I was. I took the back seat to life. I was definitely not the example of a leader. And even sitting here today now, I'm probably 10 years out of the worst point of my life. So I'm going to be 40 this year. And I still say to Richard, and Richard, I'm sure you mentioned him on your
many times. He's been on our show. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I say to him, like, I don't understand sometimes. I just think I'm a person. And so when someone is reaching out to me for encouragement or advice, I still kind of pinch myself and go, I have something to offer. So I guess every day I realize I'm a leader of some sort in some facet. And you mentioned even when we started this call that I've been kind of self-working on myself and transforming. And I'm no expert by any means in nutrition and fitness, and I have a long journey ahead of me still. But even amongst that, I've inspired other people, mostly women, to reach out to me saying, thank you for sharing a little bit of that. It's giving me hope for something else. And so, I don't know, I attract people is how I term it, versus a leader. And I do think very much I lead a lot of people in my business and my companies and my family. But I look at it as, just I attract people who are looking for something more in life. And I think that's fun.
And you live it. I mean, that's what I heard you say, is that I discovered I wanted to be adaptable. I wanted to be able to move around as need be. I wanted to be able to experience more. I wanted to be able to have opportunity, and I wanted to discover more. I didn't want to stay in complacency, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think that's what drives you every day, right? And as I was sharing with you, I've got a few years on you, and I'll be celebrating a milestone as well this year. And the number one conversation is how we lead ourselves first and foremost, right? And then that's what causes that attraction, because we're willing to exude what we're passionate about, yet we're also willing to say we're willing to learn and grow. I'm not an expert. I'm not perfect. Let me correct that. We are experts in many things.
Yes.
Some were especially important to us, right?
Yes.
And what you said there about wanting to do more, and I keep going back to that berry. That was just such a powerful awareness of just re-blossoming, right? And really discovering who you wanted to be. As you were going through that journey, what happened for you to, or what skill, characteristic, what was the light bulb moment? As you know, I like light bulb concepts. What happened in that arena that you would say was the driving force to really dig you out?
Oh gosh. I think there's always several things that lead up to that straw that breaks the camel's back. But at the same time, I feel like it was a combination of things for me. I was raised very Midwestern, where you just work hard, you work till you die. Work ethic was not an issue for me. I found myself at a crossroads of saying, if I stay where I'm at, I don't think I'll still be alive in 5 years. I was in an abusive relationship, and with many other problems as well. But the minute that my daughter witnessed that occur, I said no more.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it really went back to grit. And some people would just say survival. Mm-hmm. So as a mom of 2 girls, a single mom, and there was no other options. Like, I kept saying to myself, like, I have nothing to lose at this point. Mm-hmm. And I think that we are the most cautious when we have something to lose. Mm-hmm. And I had nothing to lose. So all I could do was go for gold. I mean,
love it.
I couldn't go any further down. And so it was good old fashioned grit to just pull myself up by the bootstraps and start moving ahead or going for that thing, because there was nothing else. I mean, there was just nothing else. I wasn't able to feed my kids by myself. I wasn't able to pay the bills by myself. The job I had wasn't taking care of those things. He had financially damaged my credit, and I owed over $150,000 worth of debt I didn't know I had that wasn't a house.
Wow.
Because again, I was raised very Midwestern, and you work hard and you have a credit score, and that's what you die with, you know? And so he took advantage of those things. And so for me, it was just survival. I mean, there was no other better word for it. And I've coached a lot of people, and the ones that take the least amount of action are the ones that are comfortable in their day job. And if I do this, great, it's going to help. If I don't do this, it's okay still. Mm-hmm. And those to me are the hardest folks to coach, because there's nothing on the line. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's for everyone, but in 9 out of 10 people, I would say that's fairly true at this point. And it goes back to grit for me. If you have the wherewithal, because a lot of people sit out there, and you said you've been in your business for over 10 years, and people think it's easy. They look at you now and they're like, it's easy. And people look at me with my student housing business and where it's at today, and they want the same thing, but they don't see when I was working 100 hours a week. They don't see when I was dragging the kids along to stinky houses and they were helping clean and watching their little TV screens while I was painting, or, figuring out all the steps to create the business. And I think that's the biggest piece, is get out of your comfort zone, put something on the line, and go for it.
The story that keeps coming up for me is the days that I had to, scrounge the couch for milk money. I mean,
Mhm.
just to know that the kids got fed that day, right?
Yeah,
Or whatever they needed for that day, right? And
absolutely.
I'm sure you've seen both sides of that equation, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and I love the way you just shared, people don't see the level of hours, the level of muscle, the level of commitment, the level of sacrifice, the level of different pieces of the puzzle that go into creating and developing the foundation and platform you build,
Yeah.
and the years that it takes to have that so-called overnight success, right?
Yes.
And then you achieve a certain platform and then you decide, okay, what do I want to do with that next platform, right? How do I commit to, do I continue that path? Do I let it evolve? Do I let it transform? And most of the time it has to transform. I mean, I know for our company, we've been through 3 different logos and redesigns in that time. And I'm sure we'll do it again someday.
Yes. Well, you have to continue to grow or you die. And with technology that moves at the rate that it does at this point, I think every business has to be dynamically changing every day, every week, every month of every year, or you'll just get left behind. You can only survive on your old ways for so long. And you either have to sell out and be done, or you need to keep growing.
There's so much said there. And so educate me for all I mean, and as I promised you, I would start the wrap up and be quick and efficient. And that could be 2 or 3 more questions. And yet you're a gift and I appreciate your time as always. As you've been through your journey and somebody was going to contemplate, I might want to commit to something like that. I might want to dive into this leadership role. What would you say would be the first step or the first way of diving in and really getting aware of where they are and how much they really need to do to get there? And then I might have a couple questions from that.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing we as humans, but I think even more as women, are guilty of is hiding our true selves.
Amen.
And so I believe if you want to follow your passion and you really want to step out there and do something, you have to be ready to show it all. Mm-hmm. And if you have a skewed version of yourself that you're putting out there, no matter what industry it is or in what facet, you can only maintain that second identity for so long. Mm-hmm. And so I think you need to be vulnerable in order to say, this is who I am, whether you like it or not. You don't have to, and that's okay. But there are a lot of naysayers out there. So you have to be able to keep moving on when those negative people are trying to take you down. And my dad, I did this Facebook post the other day, and my dad put a little comment in there because it's something he always just reminds me of, is that everybody is excited for you to grow your boat. But if your boat gets bigger than their boat, sometimes they want to sink your boat.
Truth.
Or sometimes they just want to hop on your boat for free.
Right.
And so you just need to be grossly aware of not everyone's going to accept you when you show that true self. And then I don't really think that you can truly help other people or be a leader if you have that false identity or that skewed version of yourself. So there are a lot of things that I've done that just haven't been comfortable. They're out of my comfort zone, to the extent that I skipped public speaking in high school. And even my first year of college, I was like, I'll write 100 papers to never have to speak in front of someone. And then Ron LeGrand figured out what I was doing with student housing and the real estate world. And he's like, you're going to come teach my people. And I'm like, I don't speak in front of people, Ron. I don't do that. And that was huge, to just, who's going to listen to me? And I'm not going to be scripted. I don't have perfect English manners. I'm just a Midwestern Ozark girl, And yeah, and so I had to really just get used to being really uncomfortable with that. You have to share some of the hard things, not just the successes. And you can't really just pretend it's all been my daughters say rainbows and ponies up to this point.
Mm.
It's not, it never is going to be. And then I didn't realize I had passed this on to my oldest daughter. She's going to be going into college this year. And there was a friend of hers that was kind of struggling with how to be their true self. Like if someone really knew this about me, then they wouldn't like me. And she said her little like text back to them was, be your own light. And no matter what someone else does, beat your own drum.
Mm-hmm.
Beat your own drum and be your own light. That's what my mother has always said. And I was like, I said that?
Love that.
18 years old to be able to look at your friend and say, girl, beat to your own drum. It doesn't matter who's listening, beat to your own drum. I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 10 years. I'm like not looking back to see what anyone says. I'm beating to my own drum. Some like it and some don't.
There is so much you said there. And I love that your daughter is sharing that. And I want to go back to the identity piece. And it's something I've been spending a lot of years helping people discover, including for myself, because the more you reveal your own blind spots, you get to learn a different identity of yourself. And a lot of times you don't realize that you're putting out an identity that you don't want to be putting out because you yourself have not seen it. And so your opportunity, and I speak of experience as well as teaching it, and I wholeheartedly have recognized over the years that, I mean, even when I was a leader in divorce care, or not divorce care, but singles ministry, there was a process where when people would get divorced, they'd have to recognize, I'm no longer that person's wife. Who am I?
Yeah.
Right? And that identity piece is so powerful. And so when you said that skewed part of it, and there was so key awareness for everyone listening to us, there's so many women, as you said, that have learned to put themselves in a submission role, which is in some ways appropriate. And we can get a whole conversation on that. Yet there's also the identity of understanding what you bring to the table and what is your drum, what is your light, and how you own that. And I think that was just such a ridiculously valuable point. And I'm going to possibly close out on the awareness of when you recognize that you've been beating your own drum, when you owned your identity. And I love the way you said, I'm willing to share the hard stuff and I'm willing to share the successes. Look at, they didn't see the kids that were, going into the dirty houses, right?
Yeah.
How did you choose to make that step? What did you tell yourself? How did you make sure to own that language inside your own mind? Because our own mind is a challenge, right?
It very much is. I think it's an everyday thing for all of us. Every day I'm evolving into this new version of who I want to be even today. Mm-hmm. And Richard and I talked about this last week is life is always changing. So for me, it's communication. So it's finding someone to just bounce that off of, that you can share those inner thoughts of what's happening. Even talking about my daughter being 18 and getting ready to go off to college, like that's a big change for me. Mm-hmm. She's really my best friend right now, aside from my husband. We work out together. We do a lot of stuff together. I have a daughter that's 5 years younger, and I love her to pieces as well, but she's just not quite old enough to share some of the other things the oldest one is. And so for me, my identity is always changing based on the needs around me as well. And for myself, it's determining what boundaries I keep for me to be beneficial to those different roles that I have. And exercising the word no is huge, and being okay with that. So even this working out and eating appropriately that I've been going through for the last 7 months, it comes with a lot of no's. It comes with, no, I don't want that thing, or no, I can't show that house at 4:00 because I already have a meeting. That meeting's with myself. That meeting's with me at the gym. But they don't need to know that. They just need to know that I already have an appointment at 4:00, but I am happy to do a 5:30 or a 3 p.m. appointment. And I've just determined I'm not going to waver from that anymore.
Excellent.
So it's the boundaries for myself that now is allowing me to fulfill many other roles while also getting stronger for me.
Powerful. I love you literally gave everyone listening to you permission to say it's okay. I am a priority. It gives me more freedom. It gives me more opportunity. It gives me more power to own the gift of choosing priority and making myself one of them. And
Yeah.
that was ridiculously powerful and exactly where I want to end on. So Dixie, how do they get a hold of you? How do they learn more about your journey if they want to express more in
so from the business aspect, of course, there's all kinds of social media and free content on dixiedecker.com. There's YouTube trainings and tutorials and stuff. There's Instagram and Facebook for my business pages. And then, of course, I have Dixie Decker, the personal side of me as a person. I do a fairly good job of keeping those two separate for the most part. I give glimpses of my business life on my personal page, but for the most part, there's a lot of Dixie on there. And I had to get really comfortable with that too. Just, those ugly pictures on the Stairmaster, they actually inspired someone. So you don't have to put the perfect picture out all the time. And, we all like to put good stuff out, but get real with yourself and share some of the hard stuff, not the crazy stuff. You can keep your crazy stuff to yourself because not everyone hears everything in here, but
right.
There's a difference, but, and that's a point too, is like we all talk to ourselves. We all have these, my brain never shuts off, but not all of it comes out of here. And my dad calls that your filter. Mm-hmm. And so even though you're being your true self, you still should filter some things.
Right.
And as a leader, I think that's important as well, is to know when to, you don't have to agree with everyone or disagree with everyone. You can disagree with someone without protesting it or without shouting it at the rooftops. And so, go to dixiedecker.com. Check out socials and YouTube. And if I can help you out in the real estate space, I'm happy to. Otherwise, I just hope this is an inspiration for someone to go for gold and step out of your comfort zone.
Perfect wrap up. OneLightAhead.com or One Light Ahead YouTube page will have this video on it. We will share that with you. And what a wonderful gift, going for gold. And the final concept I would say is that filter is, some of us have a couple filters, some of us have 10 of them, and some of us need to decide every once in a while it's okay to be down a few filters, and sometimes we need to increase a few filters, right?
Yeah.
And but I love the way you wrap that up, and I love who and how you show up, and you are inspiring tons of people. You are an amazing gift, and we deeply appreciate your time. Bye everyone, have a wonderful day.